The winter sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, casting long shadows across the polished marble floors. Maxwell Pierce stood with his back to the room, hands clasped behind him, watching the tiny figures of people moving like ants 60 floors below. From up here, their problems seemed small, manageable, not like his own. Behind him, a throat cleared softly. "Mr. Pierce? The next candidate is here." Maxwell didn't turn around. "Send them in, Rita." He heard his assistant's heels click away across the marble, followed by the softer footsteps of yet another medical professional, who would look at his daughter with that same mixture of clinical interest and barely hidden pity. This would be the 7th interview today. The previous 6 had perfect credentials, impeccable references, and not a single original thought between them. "Mr. Pierce, I'm Elena Suarez." Something in the voice, confident but not rehearsed, made him turn. The woman standing before him wasn't what he expected. No crisp white uniform or sensible shoes. Instead, she wore simple dark jeans and a deep blue sweater that matched her eyes. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she carried a worn leather messenger bag instead of the standard medical case. "You're late, Ms. Suarez," he said, checking his watch. "Actually, I was on time. I spent 20 minutes talking with Lily before coming in here." She didn't apologize, didn't even look uncomfortable under his stern gaze. "I believe in meeting the child first, not the checkbook." Maxwell raised an eyebrow. In his world of yes-men and corporate climbers, this kind of directness was rare. "And what did you learn about my daughter in those 20 minutes that 6 years of medical reports couldn't tell you?" Elena smiled, a genuine expression that reached her eyes. That she has her father's stubbornness. That she loves the color yellow, but everyone keeps giving her pink things. That she hasn't given up, even if everyone around her has. The last words hung in the air between them. Maxwell felt a flicker of anger, then something else he couldn't quite name. He gestured to a chair. "Sit down, Mrs. Suarez. Your resume says you left Boston Children's Hospital after only 3 years. Why?" She sat, placing her bag on the floor beside her. "Creative differences. Hospitals don't have creative differences. They have protocols." "Exactly." Elena leaned forward slightly. "I believe in working with children, not conditions. The hospital wanted me to follow standard treatments for standard cases, but there's no such thing as a standard child." Maxwell walked to his desk and picked up a thick folder. "My daughter has Charcot-Marie tooth disease, a rare variant that affects the peripheral nerves. She has never stood on her own, never taken a step. The best neurologists in the world have confirmed she never will." He tossed the folder toward Elena. "Those are her complete medical records. 6 years of tests, treatments, experimental therapies that cost more than most people's homes. Are you telling me you know something they don't?" Elena didn't touch the folder. "I know that the human body is an incredible thing. I know that neural pathways can be retrained. And I know that medical science is still just scratching the surface of understanding how determination and the right approach can overcome so-called impossibilities. So you're a miracle worker?" His tone was harsh, dripping with skepticism. "No, I'm just someone who doesn't believe in giving up on children." She stood, picking up her bag. "But I can see you're looking for someone to maintain the status quo, not challenge it. Thank you for your time, Mr. Pierce." Maxwell watched her walk toward the door, surprised. People didn't walk away from him. He was Maxwell Pierce. His company had revolutionized telecommunications. His net worth had 9 zeros. He didn't get dismissed by some therapist with creative differences. "Wait." Elena paused. Hand on the doorknob. A memory flashed through Maxwell's mind. His wife Abigail, 7 months pregnant, planning the nursery. "Our daughter's going to run before she walks," she had laughed. "She's going to be unstoppable, just like her dad." The memory was a knife twist. Abigail gone in childbirth. "Lily, who would never run anywhere. What would you do differently?" he asked, his voice quieter now. Elena turned back. "First, I'd stop treating your daughter like she's broken. Second, I'd create a program combining physical therapy, neural retraining, water therapy, and sensory integration. Third, I'd focus on joy, not just function. Joy. Children learn through play, through wanting to participate. Your daughter lives in a beautiful cage, Mr. Pierce. Everything is brought to her, done for her. She needs a reason to want to move, not just exercises to make her body stronger." Maxwell walked to the window again, thinking. He'd hired and fired dozens of specialists. None had made a difference. His rational mind told him this woman was selling false hope, the most cruel kind. But something, instinct maybe, or desperation made him pause. When can you start? I already have. Lily and I made a deal during our 20 minutes. I promised her that if I got the job, I'd bring her something yellow tomorrow. Elena's expression softened slightly. She's excited about a surprise. First time in a long time, according to her. From the hallway came the sound of small wheels on marble. Maxwell turned to see his daughter's wheelchair entering the room. Pushed by her current nurse, Ms. Winters, a gray-haired woman with kind eyes and absolutely no imagination. Daddy, is she going to be my new teacher? Lily's voice was high and clear. Her eyes, so like her mother's, focused on Elena. At 8 years old, she was small for her age, with dark hair like his and a face that could light up a room on the rare occasions she truly smiled. She might be Pumpkin. We're still talking. Elena crouched down to Lily's level, something most adults never bothered to do. I was just telling your dad about our yellow surprise for tomorrow, but I didn't tell him about our secret handshake. Should we show him? Lily nodded eagerly. The two performed an elaborate sequence of hand movements, ending with a fist bump that made Lily giggle. Ms. Suarez, that's quite enough, Ms. Winters said stiffly. Lily has her physical therapy session now. Actually, Maxwell interrupted, surprising himself. Ms. Suarez is taking over Lily's care starting tomorrow. Ms. Winters, Rita will see to your severance package. The older nurse's mouth opened in shock, then closed tightly. She gave a curt nod and left the room, her back straight with disapproval. I got the job? Elena asked, eyebrows raised. Don't make me regret it. Maxwell felt a strange mix of hope and fear, a combination he hadn't experienced in business in decades. Lily's physical therapy room has state-of-the-art equipment. Whatever else you need, just ask Rita. I'll need to make some changes to her schedule. And the therapy room. Elena was all business now. Dad, can Elena have the bedroom next to mine? The one with the yellow curtains? Lily asked, her face more animated than Maxwell had seen in months. Yellow curtains? He asked, confused. I don't think... It's the guest room on the east side, Lily explained patiently, as if her father should know this. It gets morning sun. Maxwell looked between his daughter and this woman who had somehow connected with her in 20 minutes. Yes, fine. Rita will show Mrs. Suarez the room and help her get settled. As Rita returned to escort Elena out, Maxwell knelt beside Lily's wheelchair. Are you sure about this, Pumpkin? Ms. Winters has been with us for a long time. Lily's small hand touched his cheek, a gesture so like her mother's that it made his throat tight. Ms. Winters always tells me what I can't do. Elena asked me what I want to do. And what did you tell her? Lily's eyes, so serious in her young face, held his. That I want to dance at your birthday party. Maxwell felt his chest constrict. His birthday was 6 months away. The idea of Lily dancing, it was impossible. And yet, for the first time in years, he found himself wondering, what if? After Lily's nurse took her for her afternoon rest, Maxwell stood alone in his office looking out at the city he had conquered through sheer will and intelligence. Beyond the window, snow began to fall, soft flakes swirling against the darkening sky. Something had changed today. A door had opened that he'd long ago locked shut. He wasn't sure if it was hope or foolishness. Perhaps they were the same thing. In the distance, church bells rang, marking the hour. Time moving forward as always. For years, he'd accepted that some things couldn't be changed, couldn't be fixed, even with all his money and power. But maybe, just maybe, he'd been wrong. Elena arrived at the Pierce penthouse at exactly 7 the next morning. A large canvas bag slung over one shoulder, and a smaller yellow package tucked under her arm. The night guard looked her up and down with suspicion before finally letting her through after 3 phone calls to verify her identity. The penthouse was quiet, the morning light casting a golden glow through the east-facing windows. Elena found her way to the kitchen, where a stern-faced housekeeper was arranging fruit on a silver tray. Good morning, Elena said cheerfully. I'm Elena, Lily's new... I know who you are, the woman interrupted, not looking up from her task. Miss Lily doesn't wake until 8. Her breakfast is served at 8:15. Physical therapy begins at 9. Elena set her bags down on a stool. Actually, we're going to change things up a bit starting today. The housekeeper, Greta, according to the small nameplate on her uniform, finally looked up, her lips pressed into a thin line. Mr. Pierce approves all schedule changes. And he approved me, Elena replied, reaching for an apple from the fruit bowl. She took a bite, chewing slowly as she looked around the kitchen. It was all stainless steel and marble, beautiful but cold. Is there any peanut butter? Miss Lily is allergic to nuts, Greta said, her voice sharp. Elena nodded. I know. I read her medical file last night. The peanut butter is for me. She took another bite of the apple. And she's not allergic to all nuts, just cashews and pistachios. Peanuts are actually legumes, not nuts. Before Greta could respond, Elena heard the soft whir of an electric wheelchair. She turned to see Lily entering the kitchen, still in her pajamas, her dark hair tousled from sleep. You came back, Lily said, her face breaking into a smile. Some of the others didn't. Elena crouched down to Lily's level. I promised, didn't I? And I brought something. She handed the yellow package to Lily, who tore into it eagerly. Inside was a soft yellow knit hat with a sunflower on the side. Lily pulled it on immediately, her eyes bright with excitement. Look, Greta, it's yellow, just like Elena promised. The housekeeper's stern expression softened slightly when she looked at Lily. Very nice, Miss Lily, but you're not dressed yet and it's not time for breakfast. Actually, Elena said, standing up, Lily and I have plans this morning. We'll have breakfast on the go. She turned to Lily. How do you feel about pancakes? Lily's eyes widened. We're going out? Like outside the building? With your dad's permission, which I got last night. Elena pulled a folded note from her pocket with Maxwell's signature. She'd called him late, explaining that changing routines was essential to changing expectations. To her surprise, he'd agreed. 30 minutes later, Elena was pushing Lily's wheelchair through a small cafe 6 blocks from the penthouse. The owner, a round man with a bushy mustache, greeted them warmly. Table by the window, ladies? He asked, leading them to a spot where sunlight streamed in. Perfect, Elena said, helping Lily out of her coat. The yellow hat remained firmly on her head. As they waited for their pancakes, Elena pulled out a notebook. So today we start our adventure. But first I need to know something important. What do you want to do that you can't do now? Lily looked confused. You mean besides walk? Walking is just a way to get somewhere, Elena explained. I want to know where you want to go, what you want to do when you get there. Lily thought for a moment, twisting a strand of hair around her finger. I want to play in the fountain at the park in summer, the one where the water shoots up from the ground and all the kids run through it. Elena wrote it down. Good, what else? I want to climb the apple tree at our summer house. Dad says it has the best apples at the very top. Elena nodded, writing, Excellent. Keep going. By the time their pancakes arrived, Lily had listed 15 things, her voice growing more excited with each one. None of them were about walking specifically, they were about living, about experiencing the world like any other 8-year-old. This is our map, Elena said, tapping the notebook. Every journey needs a destination, or in our case, 15 of them. Lily stuffed a bite of syrup-soaked pancake into her mouth. But how? The doctors said my legs don't work right. The doctors told you what you can't do. I'm going to show you what you might be able to do if we try some new things. Elena leaned forward. It won't be easy. Sometimes it might hurt. Sometimes you might want to give up. But I promise you we'll have some fun along the way. Does my dad know about this plan? Elena smiled. Not all of it. Sometimes grown-ups need to see things to believe them. When they returned to the penthouse, Maxwell was waiting in the living room, his face lined with worry. He jumped to his feet when the elevator doors opened. Where have you been? Rita said you took Lily out for breakfast, but you've been gone for 3 hours. Elena pushed Lily's wheelchair into the room. Lily's cheeks were flushed pink from the cold, her yellow hat slightly askew, and she was clutching a small paper bag. We went on a field trip, Elena explained calmly. Breakfast, then the Children's Museum. They have a new exhibit on birds. Dad, look. Lily opened the paper bag and pulled out a small wooden bird whistle. She blew into it, producing a warbling sound that echoed through the penthouse. I can call birds now. Elena says we can put a bird feeder on my balcony. Maxwell looked between his excited daughter and the woman who had caused this transformation. He wanted to be angry. He hadn't explicitly approved a museum trip. But the sight of Lily's animated face made the words die in his throat. We should have been back sooner, Elena admitted. But someone was having too much fun to leave. She squeezed Lily's shoulder gently. Can I show Rita my whistle? Lily asked. When Maxwell nodded, she wheeled herself toward his assistant's office, the bird sounds trailing behind her. Once Lily was out of earshot, Maxwell turned to Elena. Ms. Suarez, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but there are protocols in this household. Security protocols, medical protocols. Mr. Pierce, with all due respect, those protocols have kept your daughter in a very expensive cage. Elena met his gaze steadily. I told you yesterday that Lily needs joy, not just therapy. Today was about showing her there's a world worth working hard to be part of. Maxwell ran a hand through his hair. And what actual therapy did you do today? We did 40 minutes of upper body strengthening while looking at the bird exhibits. She didn't even realize she was exercising because she was so focused on reaching the different display buttons. Elena pulled out her phone and showed him a video of Lily stretching to press colorful buttons that activated different bird calls, her face intent with concentration. Maxwell watched the video, something tight loosening in his chest. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen his daughter so engaged. That's good, he admitted reluctantly, but I need to know your plans in advance. Elena nodded. Fair enough. Tomorrow we're turning the therapy room upside down. What? Most of that equipment was designed for adults or for conditions different from Lily's. We need to reimagine the space. She pulled out a sketch from her bag. I've ordered some specialized equipment that will arrive tomorrow. And I've hired a painter. Maxwell looked at the sketch, his eyebrows rising. You're painting my therapy room yellow? Sunshine yellow, Elena corrected with a small smile. And adding mirrors along one wall, balance bars at Lily's height, and a sound system. A sound system? Music is one of the most powerful neural stimulants we have. Lily's going to dance before she walks. Maxwell shook his head. This is unorthodox. That's why you hired me, Elena reminded him. Orthodox hasn't worked for 8 years. Before he could respond, Lily wheeled back into the room. Rita loved my whistle. She says she used to have one when she was little. She looked between the adults, sensing tension. Is everything okay? Maxwell looked at his daughter, really looked at her, and saw something he hadn't seen in a long time. Hope. It scared him more than anything because hope meant the possibility of disappointment. He'd protected himself and Lily from that for years. Everything's fine, Pumpkin, he said, making a decision. Ms. Suarez was just telling me about some changes she wants to make to your therapy room. With yellow paint? Lily asked excitedly. You told her? Elena asked, surprised. I guessed, Lily said. Yellow is our thing now. She patted her hat proudly. Maxwell felt a strange twist in his heart watching his daughter and this woman share a secret language he wasn't part of. For years he'd been Lily's whole world and she had been his. Now something was shifting. Dad, can Elena play the piano for me before my nap? She says she knows the song from that movie we watched last week. Maxwell checked his watch. He had a board meeting in 30 minutes that he could attend virtually from his home office. Of course, but just one song. As he walked toward his office, the sound of the piano, a beautiful instrument that had sat mostly silent since his wife's death, began to fill the penthouse. He paused in the hallway listening as Elena played the opening notes of A Million Dreams. Then Lily's voice joined in, clear and sweet. Maxwell leaned against the wall, eyes closed. For just a moment, he let himself believe that impossible things might happen after all. 2 weeks flew by in a whirlwind of change. The therapy room, once clinical and cold, now blazed with sunshine yellow walls. Mirrors lined one side reflecting light and movement. Low balance bars, a mini trampoline with support handles and colorful floor mats, transformed the space into something between a dance studio and a playground. Music played constantly. Everything from classical piano to upbeat pop songs that made Lily bounce in her wheelchair. Maxwell found himself drawn to the room more and more often. He'd installed a small desk in the corner where he could work while watching Elena's sessions with Lily. At first, he told himself it was to monitor their progress, but the truth was simpler. He enjoyed being there. Today, Elena had Lily lying on her stomach on a large exercise ball, helping her roll forward and back while reaching for colorful rings on the floor. That's it, Elena encouraged as Lily stretched her arm out, fingers straining to grab a blue ring. Use your core muscles. Tighten your tummy like we practiced. Lily's face was scrunched in concentration, a small bead of sweat rolling down her temple. It's too far. You can do it, Elena said calmly. Remember the birds at the museum? How much you wanted to reach those buttons? This is the same. With a determined grunt, Lily stretched further and managed to hook one finger through the ring. Her face lit up with triumph. I did it. You did? Elena helped her sit up on the ball, keeping her steady with hands on her waist. 5 more minutes, then we rest. Maxwell found himself smiling behind his laptop screen. These small victories had become the highlight of his day. In the past 2 weeks, he'd rescheduled meetings, delegated tasks, and even turned down a business trip to Tokyo, all to be present for moments like this. After Lily's session, while she rested with Rita, Elena joined Maxwell in the kitchen. This had become their routine, a quick debrief over coffee while Lily napped. She's getting stronger, Elena said, accepting the mug he offered. Her core muscles are developing nicely. And did you notice she's sitting up straighter in her wheelchair? Maxwell nodded, leaning against the counter. The doctor called yesterday. He wasn't happy about canceling her regular therapy appointments. Of course he wasn't. We're not following his plan. He said. Maxwell hesitated, then continued. He said I'm setting her up for disappointment. That I'm being cruel by giving her false hope. Elena's eyes flashed with anger. That's backwards. The cruelest thing is telling a child what they'll never be able to do before they've even had a chance to try. She set her coffee down. Do you agree with him? Maxwell looked out the window at the city skyline. 2 weeks ago I might have. But now? He turned back to Elena. I've seen changes in Lily that go beyond physical strength. She's happier, more confident. She argued with Rita yesterday about which shoes to wear. He smiled at the memory. She's never cared about shoes before. She's finding her voice, Elena said. That's just as important as finding her legs. A comfortable silence fell between them. Maxwell studied Elena over the rim of his coffee mug. In the 2 weeks she'd been here, she'd transformed not just the therapy room but the entire atmosphere of the penthouse. The staff, initially resistant, had gradually warmed to her. Even Greta had been caught humming along to the music that now filled the halls. Why did you really leave the hospital? Maxwell asked suddenly. The real reason, not the creative differences line. Elena's expression turned serious. There was a boy about Lily's age. Spinal injury from a car accident. The doctors told his parents he'd never walk again. Standard protocol, manage expectations. She traced the rim of her mug with her finger. But I saw something in him, a determination, a spark. I developed an alternative treatment plan, but my supervisor rejected it. Said it wasn't evidence-based. What happened? I did it anyway. After hours with the parents' permission. 3 months later, the boy took his first steps with a walker. She looked up, meeting Maxwell's gaze. I was fired for insubordination. The official reason was failure to follow approved protocols. And the boy? A smile spread across Elena's face. He plays Little League baseball now. Maxwell shook his head in disbelief. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I don't want you focusing on the end result, Elena said firmly. This isn't about making a miracle happen in some dramatic movie moment. It's about the journey, about Lily discovering what her body can do one small victory at a time. Before Maxwell could respond, his phone buzzed with a notification. He checked it and frowned. The board meeting. I need to take this, Elena nodded. I'll check on Lily. That evening, Maxwell found himself standing in the doorway of Lily's bedroom, watching as Elena helped her get ready for bed. The yellow hat, now a permanent fixture, sat on the bedside table next to a growing collection of colorful objects. The bird whistle, a small music box, a jar of smooth stones from the park. Story time. Lily announced, patting the bed beside her. Elena settled next to Lily, opening a book they'd picked out together. Instead of reading it herself, Elena pointed to the words, letting Lily read aloud. When Lily stumbled over a difficult word, Elena waited patiently, not jumping in to help. Sound it out, she encouraged. You've got this. Maxwell leaned against the doorframe, content to observe unnoticed. The relationship between his daughter and Elena fascinated him. It wasn't the typical caregiver-patient dynamic. There was a partnership there, a mutual respect. After the story, Elena helped Lily with her stretching exercises, now incorporated into her bedtime routine. As Lily lay back against her pillows, clearly tired but happy, Elena brushed a strand of hair from her forehead. What shall we dream about tonight? Elena asked, their nightly ritual. Lily thought for a moment. The fountain in the park. The one on our list. Perfect. Dream about how the water feels on your skin, how the sun makes the droplets sparkle like diamonds. Will you be there in my dream? Of course. And your dad, too. Maxwell stepped into the room then, making his presence known. Someone talking about me? Lily's face brightened further. Dad! You're just in time for dream planning. He sat on the edge of the bed.
Dream planning, huh?
Sounds serious? Very serious, Elena confirmed with mock solemnity. We're visualizing the fountain in the park. The one with the jets that shoot up from the ground? Lily nodded enthusiastically. Elena says we can go there when it opens in May. May was 3 months away. Maxwell felt that familiar pang, hope mixed with fear. That sounds wonderful, Pumpkin. After Lily fell asleep, Maxwell and Elena walked together to the living room. The penthouse was quiet, the nightlights of the city creating a gentle glow through the windows. She mentioned something today during therapy, Elena said, settling onto the sofa. About her mother, Maxwell tensed. What about her? She asked if her mom would be proud of her progress. Elena's voice was gentle. I told her yes without a doubt. I hope that was okay. Maxwell nodded, his throat tight. It was. She doesn't have any photos of her mother in her room, Elena observed carefully. There are albums in my study. He hesitated. After Abigail died, it was too painful. I put everything away. Maybe it's time to bring some out, Elena suggested. Lily needs that connection, especially now as she's finding her strength. Maxwell was quiet for a long moment. You know what the hardest part is? Lily has her eyes. Exactly the same. Sometimes she gives me this look and it's like Abigail is right there, seeing through everything. Elena didn't rush to fill the silence that followed. Instead, she simply sat with him in it, letting the weight of his words settle. Finally, Maxwell spoke again. Thank you. Not just for what you're doing for Lily, but for bringing life back into this place. You don't need to thank me for doing my job. Is that all this is? A job? The question slipped out before he could stop it. Elena looked at him, her expression unreadable in the dim light. No, she said simply. It's not just a job. Something shifted between them in that moment, an acknowledgement of the connection that had been building over the past weeks. Maxwell found himself wanting to reach out to touch her hand, but he held back. It's getting late, Elena said, standing up. Tomorrow's a big day. We're trying the parallel bars for the first time. I'll be there, Maxwell promised. The whole day is cleared. As he watched her walk toward her room, Maxwell realized something had changed within him too. For years after losing Abigail, he'd been going through the motions, building his business empire, providing for Lily, but not truly living. Now he found himself looking forward to each new day, curious about what small miracle it might bring. He walked to his study and opened the cabinet where he kept Abigail's albums. It was time to remember, not just mourn. Time to share these memories with Lily. Time to start believing in impossible things again. The parallel bars gleamed under the bright lights of the therapy room. They were lower than standard ones, custom-made to Lily's height with soft padding on the railings. Elena had positioned them in front of the mirror wall so Lily could see herself as she worked. I'm scared, Lily whispered, sitting in her wheelchair at one end of the bars. She wore her yellow hat and new yellow grip gloves that Elena had ordered specially. That's normal, Elena said, kneeling beside her. Being scared means you're about to do something brave. Maxwell stood quietly in the doorway, not wanting to interrupt. It had been a month since Elena came into their lives, a month of small victories and gradual progress. Today was different. Today they were attempting something they hadn't dared try before. What if I fall? Lily asked, her voice small. Then we'll help you up and you'll try again, Elena answered simply. Falling is part of learning, but it will hurt, maybe a little, but these mats will help. Elena patted the thick foam mats that covered the floor around the bars. And your dad and I will be right here. At the mention of her father, Lily looked up and spotted him. Dad, are you watching? Maxwell stepped into the room, his heart pounding strangely. I wouldn't miss it for anything, Pumpkin. Even your big meeting? I postponed it, he said, coming to kneel on her other side. This is more important. The smile that lit up Lily's face was worth every rescheduled appointment, every delegated task. In the past month, Maxwell had stepped back from his usual 14-hour workdays to be present for these moments. His executive team was adjusting, even if some board members grumbled. Okay, Elena said, turning back to Lily. Remember what we practiced. First, we lock your chair in place. She secured the wheelchair's brakes. Then we're going to help you stand, just like we've done before. You'll hold on to the bars and we'll be right beside you." Lily took a deep breath and nodded. She reached out, gripping the parallel bars with her gloved hands. "Ready?" Elena asked. "Ready," Lily confirmed, though her voice trembled slightly. Maxwell positioned himself on Lily's left side while Elena took the right. Together they supported her as she pushed up from the chair, her thin legs shaking with the effort. For a moment she was standing, supported by both the adults and the bars. "Now," Elena said gently, "we're going to let go just a little, so you can feel the bars taking your weight. We'll still be right here." Slowly they reduced their support, allowing Lily to bear more of her weight on her arms and the bars. Her face was a mask of concentration, teeth gritted with effort. "I'm doing it," she whispered, awe in her voice. "I'm standing." "You are," Maxwell said, his throat tight with emotion. "You're standing, Lily." For nearly a minute she held herself there, arms trembling but determined. Then, without warning, her right leg buckled. Maxwell lunged forward, catching her before she could hit the mat, lifting her safely back into her wheelchair. "I'm sorry," Lily cried, tears welling in her eyes. "I couldn't do it." "What are you talking about?" Elena said, her voice firm but kind. "You just stood holding the parallel bars for almost a full minute." "That's amazing. But I fell." "Everyone falls," Elena said. "The first time I tried ice skating, I fell so many times I lost count. My whole body was bruised for days." "Really?" Lily wiped at her tears. "Really? Falling isn't failing. Giving up is failing." Elena brushed Lily's hair back from her forehead. "And you, Lily Pierce, are not a quitter." Maxwell watched the exchange, a strange warmth spreading through his chest. In the past month, he'd seen sides of his daughter he never knew existed. Her determination, her humor, her occasional stubbornness. Helena had drawn these qualities out, nurturing them along with Lily's physical strength. "Can I try again tomorrow?" Lily asked. "Absolutely," Elena agreed. "But for now, let's celebrate what you did today." She pulled out her phone. "In fact, I think this calls for ice cream." "Before lunch?" Maxwell asked, raising an eyebrow. Elena grinned at him. "Some days just call for breaking the rules, don't they, Mr. Pierce?" He found himself smiling back. "I suppose they do, Ms. Suarez." That evening, after Lily had gone to sleep, exhausted but proud of her achievement, Maxwell found Elena on the penthouse balcony. She was wrapped in a cardigan against the early spring chill, looking out at the city lights. "Mind some company?" he asked. She turned, smiling when she saw him. "Not at all." He joined her at the railing, handing her a glass of wine. "I thought we could use this." "It was a big day." "It was." She accepted the glass, taking a small sip. "She did wonderfully, thanks to you." Maxwell looked at her profile in the dim light. "I've been thinking about what you said when I hired you, about how everyone had given up on Lily, including me." Elena started to protest, but he held up a hand. "You were right. I accepted what the doctors told me because it was easier than hoping for more. Hope is," he searched for the right word, "terrifying." "It is," she agreed softly, "but living without it is worse." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the distant sounds of the city creating a gentle backdrop. "I found some photos," Maxwell said finally, "of Abigail. I showed them to Lily yesterday." Elena turned to him, her expression warm. "How did she react?" "She was fascinated. Kept asking questions about her mother, what she liked to eat, what her laugh sounded like." He smiled at the memory. "I realized I'd been keeping those stories from her, thinking they would make her sad. But she craves them. Children need to know where they come from," Elena said. "It helps them understand who they are." Maxwell nodded, taking a sip of his wine. "Abigail would have liked you, would she?" "She valued honesty above all else, and she never took no for an answer." He chuckled softly. "That's how she got me, actually. I turned down her proposal 3 times. She proposed to you?" Elena's eyes widened. "At a board meeting in front of 12 very uncomfortable executives." The memory still made him smile. "She was my head of product development. Brilliant, beautiful, unstoppable. Now I see where Lily gets it from." "Yes." Maxwell's voice softened. "Though until you came, I didn't recognize how much of her mother was in her." Elena leaned against the railing, facing him now. "Tell me more about Abigail." And so he did. For the first time in years, Maxwell spoke freely about his late wife, her quirks, her passions, the way she could light up a room just by entering it. As he talked, he felt something inside him shifting, a weight lifting that he hadn't even realized he'd been carrying. When he finally fell silent, Elena reached out and touched his hand lightly. "Thank you for sharing her with me." The simple touch sent warmth up his arm. Without thinking, he turned his hand over, his fingers intertwining with hers. For a moment, they stood like that, connected, neither pulling away. Then Elena's phone buzzed in her pocket. She reluctantly withdrew her hand to check it. "It's my brother," she explained. "He texts every night to check in." "The one you helped after his accident?" She nodded. "He's overprotective now. Thinks he needs to look out for his big sister." Maxwell smiled. "Family is important." "Speaking of which," Elena said, putting her phone away, "I've been thinking about Lily's birthday next month. She mentioned wanting a small party." "She did? She hasn't wanted a birthday party in years." "Well, she does now. She specifically asked if we could invite some of the children she met at the museum." Elena's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I think it would be good for her to have friends her own age." Maxwell hesitated. The thought of opening their home, of Lily being potentially hurt or rejected by other children, made him uneasy. "I'm not sure. You're worried," Elena observed. "That's natural, but sheltering her from normal childhood experiences won't help her in the long run." Before Maxwell could respond, a sound from inside caught their attention. A soft whimper, then a cry. "Lily!" They both moved at once, hurrying back into the penthouse and down the hall to Lily's room. She was sitting up in bed, tears streaming down her face. "Bad dream," she sobbed as they reached her. Maxwell sat on the edge of her bed, pulling her into his arms. "It's okay, Pumpkin. I'm here. I dreamed I was at the fountain," Lily hiccuped. "But I couldn't move and everyone was laughing at me." Elena sat down on her other side. "That sounds scary. But you know what? Dreams aren't real, and in real life you're getting stronger every day. But what if I never walk? What if I try and it never happens?" The question hung in the air, the one they had all been avoiding. Maxwell looked at Elena over Lily's head, his eyes asking how to answer. Elena took Lily's hand in hers. "Then you'll still be the amazing Lily Pierce. Walking doesn't make you special. Being you makes you special. Your heart, your mind, your spirit, that's what matters," Maxwell added, finding the words somehow. "Not whether you walk or use a wheelchair or anything else," Lily sniffled, looking between them. "But you both want me to walk." "We want you to try," Elena corrected gently. "Because trying helps you grow stronger and discover what's possible. But we love you exactly as you are right this minute. Promise?" "Promise," they said in unison. As Lily settled back to sleep, Maxwell realized that Elena had given him something just as precious as hope for his daughter. She'd given him perspective. No matter what happened with the parallel bars, the therapy, the exercises, Lily was perfect already. Everything else was just bonus. Lily's birthday party transformed the penthouse's formal living room into a wonderland of yellow balloons and streamers. A professional cake decorator had created a masterpiece shaped like a sunflower, and a small group of children from the museum program ran around playing games while parents chatted awkwardly with Maxwell. Elena moved through the space with ease, organizing games that included Lily without making her feel different. Maxwell watched from near the kitchen doorway as his daughter laughed with her new friends. Her yellow hat perched on her head like a crown. "She looks happy," Rita said, appearing beside him with a tray of snacks. In the 2 months since Elena's arrival, even his usually serious assistant had softened. "She is happy," Maxwell replied, the realization warming him from the inside out. Truly happy. The party games continued, with Elena orchestrating a scavenger hunt where the children worked in teams, some running to find clues, others solving riddles. Lily's team won, and the look of pride on her face as she held up their prize made Maxwell's chest tight with emotion. After cake and presents, the children settled in the media room to watch a movie, while the parents began to leave. Maxwell thanked them each personally, surprised by how many mentioned scheduling future playdates. His daughter, his isolated, protected daughter, now had friends. As the last guest departed, Maxwell found Elena in the kitchen, putting leftover cake into containers. That was, he searched for the right word, magical. Elena smiled, a smudge of yellow frosting on her cheek. She did wonderfully, didn't she? Not a single moment of self-consciousness about her wheelchair. "Because of you," Maxwell said, stepping closer. Without thinking, he reached up and gently wiped the frosting from her cheek with his thumb. The simple touch lingered, his hand staying near her face. "You've changed everything, Elena." Something shifted in the air between them. A current of unspoken feelings. Elena looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the same warmth he felt spreading through his chest. "Mr. Pierce?" Greta's voice broke the moment as she entered the kitchen. "Miss Lily is asking for both of you. She wants to show you something before her friends leave." They followed Greta to the therapy room, where they found Lily waiting with two of her new friends, a girl with glasses and a boy with curly hair. The three children looked suspiciously excited. "Dad!" "Elena, we practiced a surprise for you," Lily announced, her eyes bright. She was positioned at one end of the parallel bars, her wheelchair locked in place. Maxwell felt his pulse quicken. They had been practicing with the bars regularly, with Lily making steady progress. She could now stand holding them for several minutes and had even managed to slide her hands forward slightly while supporting her weight. But she had never attempted this with an audience beyond him and Elena. "We're ready when you are." "Birthday girl," Elena said, moving to stand nearby, close enough to help if needed, but far enough to give Lily her moment. Lily nodded to her friends, who took positions on either side of her, not touching her but clearly there for moral support. The girl with glasses pressed play on a small speaker, and the opening notes of Lily's favorite song filled the room. With determination etched on her face, Lily gripped the bars and pushed herself up to standing. Maxwell held his breath, fighting the urge to rush forward and help her. This was her moment, and he would not take it from her. Slowly, with intense concentration, Lily moved her right hand forward on the bar, then her left. Her legs trembled with the effort, but she managed to slide one foot forward a few inches, then the other, one small step, then another. Maxwell felt tears prick his eyes as he watched his daughter, his beautiful, brave daughter, moving down the parallel bars on her own. Her friends walked alongside her, cheering her on but not interfering. They had clearly been coached by Lily herself on how to support without helping. When she reached the end of the bars, Lily was flushed and breathing hard, but her smile outshone the sun. "I did it! Did you see? I walked." "We saw," Elena said, her own voice thick with emotion. "You were amazing." Maxwell couldn't speak. The lump in his throat was too big, the feelings too overwhelming. Instead, he moved to his daughter and knelt beside her wheelchair, where she had settled after her triumph. He took her small hands in his and pressed them to his heart, hoping she could feel everything he couldn't say. Lily leaned forward and wrapped her arms around his neck. "Don't cry, Dad," she whispered. "It's a happy day." Later that night, long after the guests had gone and Lily had fallen asleep surrounded by her new presents, Maxwell found Elena on the balcony again. It had become their spot, the place where they talked about Lily's progress, shared stories, and gradually built something neither had expected. "She walked today," Maxwell said softly, joining Elena at the railing. She did. Elena's smile was radiant in the dim light. 6 steps on her own. "When you first came here and talked about her walking, I thought you were selling a fantasy." He shook his head, still amazed. "I've never been happier to be wrong." "It's just the beginning," Elena said. "There will be good days and bad days. But she's proven to herself that it's possible, and that's the most important step." They stood in comfortable silence, looking out at the city lights. Spring had fully arrived, the air warm with promise. "Your contract is up next week," Maxwell said finally, voicing the thought that had been weighing on him for days. Elena nodded. "I know. What happens then?" She turned to face him. "Usually I move on to the next child who needs me." The thought of Elena leaving made Maxwell's chest constrict painfully. In just 2 months she had become essential, not just to Lily but to him. The penthouse without her warmth, her laughter, her gentle challenges to his thinking. He couldn't imagine it. "And if I asked you to stay?" The words came out before he could analyze them, straight from his heart. "As Lily's therapist?" Elena asked, her voice careful. Maxwell took a step closer to her. "Not just that. These past months you've brought life back into this home. Into me." He reached for her hand, relieved when she didn't pull away. "I haven't felt this way since... I didn't think I could feel this way again." "Maxwell," she said softly, using his first name for the first time. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't want you to leave. Ever." He held her gaze, letting her see the truth in his eyes. I'm falling in love with you, Elena Suarez. For a heart-stopping moment, she was silent. Then she smiled, her eyes bright with unshed tears. I wasn't supposed to let this happen. Professionally, it's complicated. Life is complicated, he said, drawing her closer. But some things are very simple. Like what? She whispered, her face tilted up to his. Like the fact that you've taught me to hope again. Like the fact that Lily adores you. Like the fact that I can't imagine waking up tomorrow knowing you won't be here. Elena's hand came up to rest against his cheek. You know I can't promise that Lily will ever walk completely normally. Today was amazing, but that's not why I want you to stay, Maxwell interrupted gently. Whether Lily takes 1,000 more steps or none at all, she's already exceeded every expectation because of you. You've shown both of us that life isn't about limitations. It's about possibilities. Elena's smile widened. Quite a revelation for a man who built an empire on hard facts and data. I'm learning, he said with a soft laugh. So will you stay? Not as Lily's therapist, but as more? Instead of answering with words, Elena rose on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with all the emotion they'd been holding back these past weeks. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathless. Is that a yes? Maxwell asked, his arms still around her waist. Elena laughed, the sound like music in the night air. That's a yes. The fountain in the park opened on the first truly warm day in May, just as planned. Maxwell took the day off work, something that no longer raised eyebrows among his executive team. They had grown used to their CEO's new priorities. Lily sat in her wheelchair at the edge of the splash pad, watching children run through the jets of water that shot up unpredictably from the ground. Her yellow hat was replaced with a yellow swimming cap, and she wore a bright swimsuit under a light cover-up. Ready? Elena asked, kneeling beside her. Lily nodded, excitement and nervousness battling on her face. This had been the first item on their list, the dream that had started everything. Maxwell helped lift Lily from her chair while Elena supported her legs. Together they carried her to the center of the splash pad, where they lowered her feet to touch the wet ground. Cold, Lily squealed, giggling. Want to go back? Maxwell asked. Lily shook her head firmly. No way. They continued to support her as water jets burst around them, spraying them with cool water that made Lily laugh with delight. Gradually, they let her take more of her own weight, still keeping their hands ready to catch her. And then, for just a moment, they both let go. Lily stood in the middle of the fountain, water spraying all around her, her arms outstretched for balance. For 3 heartbeats, 4 or 5, she stood on her own, wobbly but upright, before Elena and Maxwell stepped in to support her again. I stood in the fountain, Lily breathed, awe in her voice. All by myself. You did, Elena confirmed, her face as wet from tears as from the fountain spray. What's next on our list? Maxwell asked, his heart so full it felt like it might burst. Lily looked between the two people who believed in her most, her smile brighter than the sun overhead. Everything, she said simply. Everything is next. And as another jet of water shot up beside them, showering them with diamond droplets that caught the light, Maxwell knew it was true. Their journey was just beginning, but they would take it together, one small step at a time.